Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you so much for joining the Japa session in the morning. We'll start our reading session for today. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshtarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Would anybody like to sing the Gita Mahatmya today?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I can try.
Yes, please go ahead, Mother.
Gita Shastramidam Punyam Yah Pathet Prayata Punan Vishnupadam Apvanupti Bhavas Shokadi Varjita Gita Shilasya Pranayanam Parasya Cha Naiva Shantihi Papani Purva Janma Kritani मालानि मोचनं पुंसां जला स्नानं दिने दिने शक्रद्गीतां शुभाषि स्नानं संसारमालनाशनम् गीतासु गीता कर्तव्या किम् अन्ये शास्त्र विस्तरे या स्वयं पदां भाष्यं मुख पद्माद् विनिश्रता भारतामृत सर्वासानां विष्णुर्शक्राद् विनिश्रुतां गीता गाग्नोदकं पीत्वा पुनर्जन्मा न विद्यते सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दुग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः शुधिर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महात् एकं शास्त्रं देवकी पुत्रं गीतम् एको देवो देवकी पुत्र एव एको मन्त्रस्तस्य नामानि यानि कर्माप्य एकं तस्य देवस्य सेवा. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Who would like to read the translations today? If not, I can read. Translation 1. If one properly follows the instruction of Bhagavad Gita, one can be freed from all the miseries and anxieties of life. One will be freed from all fears in this life, and one's next life will be spiritual. If one reads Bhagavad Gita very sincerely and with all seriousness, then by the grace of the Lord, the reactions of his past misdeeds will not act upon him. If one may cleanse himself daily by taking a bath in water, but if one takes a bath even once in the sacred Ganges water of Bhagavad Gita, for him the dirt of material life is altogether vanquished. Because Bhagavad Gita is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one need not read any other Vedic literature. One need only attentively and regularly hear and read Bhagavad Gita. In the present age, people are so absorbed in mundane activities that it is not possible for them to read all the Vedic literatures. But this is not necessary. This one book, Bhagavad Gita, will suffice because it is the essence of all Vedic literatures, and especially because it is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who drinks the water of Ganges attains salvation, so what to speak of one who drinks the nectar of Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita is the essential nectar of Mahabharata, and it is spoken by Lord Krishna himself, the original Vishnu. This Gita Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, the essence of all Upanishads, is just like a cow, and Lord Krishna, who is famous as a cowherd boy, is milking this cow. Arjuna is like a calf, and the learned scholars and pure devotees are to drink the nectarian milk of Bhagavad Gita. Let there be only one scripture. Let there be one scripture only, one common scripture for the whole world, Bhagavad Gita. Let there be one God for the whole world, Sri Krishna. Let there be only one hymn, one mantra, one prayer, the chanting of his name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Let there be one work only, the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This song can be chanted after reading Bhagavad Gita. This was originally chanted by Lord Shiva, and the translation was given by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada, in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, dear devotees. I was pretty much, every verse is important, but today I was concentrating on this verse number 4. Is that one need not read any other literature, because Bhagavad Gita is the essence and it was spoken by the Lord himself. And this one book will suffice. It is the essence of all Vedic literature. And one should read this regularly and attentively. So regularly is every day. Vaisheshika Prabhu from California, he emphasizes a chapter a day. He would carry a printout of Bhagavad Gita, and every day he would read the translations of one chapter, and that he still does to this day. Every day he will read one chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and the acronym of that he goes by is a chapter a day, and that helps, he says, that helps understand Bhagavad Gita very, very well. So dear devotees, in preparation for our Bhagavad Gita, Gita Jayanti, Gita recitation this weekend, we should try to recite the chapter that we are reciting the verses of. We can try to read that so we understand the essence of that chapter, and that will help. Thank you. So let's move on to our reading of Leelamrit. We are in chapter number 53, towards the end, where Srila Prabhupada has made up his mind almost that from Bombay he should go to Vrindavan after discussion with his GBC members, and all of them had their point of view. Everyone had their opinion. Some of them were in favor and some of them were not, but Srila Prabhupada was letting them decide, but always had the final authority in what he wanted to do, and seems like he had made up his mind that he wanted to go to Vrindavan. Would anybody like to read today? Okay, I shall continue. Vrindavan, said Srila Prabhupada, let's go. Yes, Prabhupada, said Surabhi. But Srila Prabhupada, said Tamal Krishna, what will happen to all the devotees here? They have been serving you so sincerely. How will they be able to open the temple without you being here? I mean, all the devotees, when they hear you are going to Vrindavan, they will all want to come. They won't want to stay here. Then they will all want to leave their posts and come with you to Vrindavan. Yes, then let them come, said Srila Prabhupada. I have no objection. Tamal Krishna mentioned that if 1,000 devotees might come to be with Prabhupada, and that would slow down the ISKCON work all over the world. Prabhupada again said that he had no objection. Tamal Krishna asked whether it was compulsory for the GBC members to come, and Srila Prabhupada affirmed that it was. There were no more questions, and the devotees excused themselves to go and make immediate preparations for Prabhupada's moving to Vrindavan. Only Kuladri remained in the room with Prabhupada. So, Kuladri asked Prabhupada, what do you think? Kuladri had been disturbed by the fact that some of the devotees had seemed to be opposing Prabhupada's desire, and even arguing against him. Srila Prabhupada, he said, I don't really understand. How can they give you advice like that? I feel like an intruder. I shouldn't even be here. But it seems to me that you are waiting for Krishna to make some decisions on whether you stay or go. What? Prabhupada asked. It seems you are waiting for Krishna's decision, said Kuladri. If you are going to wait for Krishna's decision, that might as well be in Vrindavan. Prabhupada smiled and closed his eyes. Yes, he said, that is very good advice. Let's move on to chapter 54. At home in Vrindavan. Prabhupada travelled by train from Bombay to Mathura. Brahmananda carried him in his arms from the train to a waiting car, and within 15 to 25 minutes, Prabhupada was back in Vrindavan. The devotees at Krishna Balaram temple were upset to see that Prabhupada's condition had deteriorated so much in the 1 month that he had been away. His room was as he left it, except for the addition of a large double bed. He lay down, and they closed the curtains and dimmed the lights. For about 5 minutes he lay still, with his eyes closed. Now you are home, Srila Prabhupada, said Tamal Krishna. Still Srila Prabhupada lay quietly, not moving. Then slowly he brought his hands to his chest, clasped them together and said, "Thank you." He seemed relieved. Now you are in the care of Krishna Balaram, said Tamal Krishna. Srila Prabhupada smiled and nodded slightly. Yes, he said. Krishna Tvadiya Pada Pankaja Panjarantam, indicating King Kulashetra's prayer to Lord Krishna. My dear Krishna, please help me die immediately so that the swan of my mind may be encircled by the stem of your lotus feet. Otherwise, at the time of my final breath, how will it be possible for me to think of you? Although Srila Prabhupada was in a precarious state, he remained completely fixed in the thought of Krishna in one way or another. Krishna's name, his form, his pastime, or his devotional service. Prabhupada suggested going to see Krishna and Balaram at 9:30, just as he had done before. But his servants advised that he rest today and begin the program tomorrow. Whatever you desire, I will do, Prabhupada said. Tamal Krishna asked Prabhupada if he wanted the Kaviraj to come. As you said, Prabhupada, for better or worse, some husband must be there. Srila Prabhupada nodded. Now manage everything, he said, and let me think of Krishna Balaram. A little before 4 in the afternoon, while devotees were reading aloud from Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada asked if the temple bell had rung the hour. Ever since the temple opening in 1975, he had insisted that the bell at the front gate be rung every hour to signify the hour and once every half hour. At first, the temple president had been unable to get a watchman who would remain awake through the night and ring the bell regularly. But Srila Prabhupada has insisted so strongly that the temple management had finally established the bell ringing. For Srila Prabhupada, it was more than just a good standard. It was a symbol of the entire temple management's effectiveness. If they couldn't even arrange that the bell be rung regularly, then how could they manage everything else? Now Srila Prabhupada was saying he thought he heard the bell ring at the wrong time. Tamal Krishna explained it might have been a different bell, and the devotees continued reading Srimad Bhagavatam. But Srila Prabhupada again asked about the bell in the temple dome. As Harisuri rose to go out and check, the bell began loudly ringing, 1, 2, 3, 4, properly sounding the hour. This is my concern, said Prabhupada, that such a huge establishment is properly managed. If not properly managed, then everything will be finished. I don't think that's going to happen, said Tamal Krishna. We are too much indebted to you to allow what you have established to become spoiled. Please see to that, said Prabhupada. Nevertheless, Srila Prabhupada called for Akshayananda Swami, and as soon as he came into the room, inquired from him, "Will the bell ring or not?" Akshayananda promised to diligently see to it, taking the instructions very seriously, as perhaps his last order from his spiritual master. The pujari entered and gave Prabhupada a large fragrant tulasi garland from Krishna Balaram, and Prabhupada returned to listening to the reading. Later in the day, he confided to Tamal Krishna about the past few weeks. I must thank you, he said. that you took me to London and again brought me here without any difficulty. That is a great credit for you. For that I am thanking you. In this condition, a bundle of bones, still you did it. Krishna will bless you. Hari Sori had obtained another detailed astrological chart on Srila Prabhupada from Delhi. This astrologer recommended a mantra to Lord Shiva to be chanted by 10 Brahmanas for 21 days. We have the Mahamantra, said Srila Prabhupada. There is no need of others. He spoke disapprovingly of the suggestion. As these astrological charts very much applicable for devotees? Are these astrological charts very much applicable for devotees, Srila Prabhupada? Asked Hari Sori. No, said Prabhupada. Don't waste money for this astrology. Srila Prabhupada's faith was only in Kirtana. Tamal Krishna suggested they again have continuous Kirtan, and Prabhupada said, that is real business. These astrologers are karmis. We have nothing to do with the karmis. In response to Srila Prabhupada's call, the 23 GBC members again began gathering in Vrindavan. They arrived heavy-hearted, yet on coming before Srila Prabhupada, they were pleased to give him progress reports on their preaching on his behalf. Srila Prabhupada was happy to hear the reports and was as encouraging as ever to his leaders despite his condition. Hamsaduta Swami was one of the first to arrive from Sri Lanka. Prabhupada instructed him to develop farm projects there, as Kirtananda Swami had done in New Vrindavan. Sometimes, when preaching, said Hamsaduta, I tell them, what kind of country is this? The land is of the Raj Rishis, and some lady is running the government? Do not touch politics, Prabhupada warned. We are cultural and philosophy. Prabhupada began dealing with Giriraj over bank matters. The local Vrindavan bank was reluctant to allow a withdrawal from an ISKCON fund, and Srila Prabhupada had to call in for advice. He gave keen practical strategy for solving the problem, but he asked to be spared these things in the future. Devotees in the room were amazed to see Srila Prabhupada still dealing expertly with such affairs. When Giriraj apologized to Prabhupada for involving him, Prabhupada replied, therefore I said, do the needful. Actually, Prabhupada's calling the GBC men together had been so they could chant for him. Now, more than ever, he wanted the medicine of the holy name, not of the doctors. When he heard that his friend Dr. Ghosh was coming to Vrindavan to open a clinic and that he could prescribe treatment, he refused the offer. These doctors will come and give something to try and save, he said. I don't want to be saved. Dr. Ghosh may come for the clinic he wants to develop, but not for my treatment. Tamal Krishna asked if they could at least call in some local Vrindavan doctors. No, said Prabhupada. Let us take your advice for Kirtan only. Tamal Krishna agreed that Kirtan was best, because in that way they were pleading for Krishna's help. Better you don't pray to Krishna to save me, said Srila Prabhupada. Let me die now. Prabhupada then asked to sit up. If Hamsaduta is not tired, he said, he can continue singing. When Hari Kesha had received the call to come immediately Vrindavan, he had been told to expect the verse. Immediately he contacted his printer, who was in the process of completing several books, and told him that he must have advance copies by next day. So by the time he got on the plane for India, he had newly printed volumes of the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam in German, the Krishna Trilogy in German, and a Yugoslavian Sri Ishopanishad. But when he arrived at Srila Prabhupada's door in Vrindavan, a devotee told him he could not bring the books to Srila Prabhupada now. Why not? Harikesha asked. This is not the kind of mood we are trying to create here, the devotee explained. What? Are you crazy? Exclaimed Harikesha. Books are Prabhupada's life and soul. He went in and showed Prabhupada the 7 new books. Immediately Prabhupada took the first volume of Krishna Trilogy and held it up, looking at the covering painting of Radha and Krishna. Prabhupada began crying and reached out, trying to stroke Harikesha's head. Harikesha reached out to hold Srila Prabhupada's hand, thinking himself unworthy of being patted. He was rotting here, typewriting, said Srila Prabhupada, referring to when Harikesha had been his secretary, just before going to preach in Europe. I said, you go. I had 10 servants. You thought I was degrading you by sending you away. No, now you understand? Yes, I understand, said Harikesha, sobbing. Here is an intelligent boy I thought, said Srila Prabhupada. Why should he rot here, typewriting? Prabhupada looked at each book. Printing and everything is first class, he said. He asked how many he had printed, and Harikesha replied, 120,000 Krishna trilogies, 60,000 Srimad Bhagavatam, second cantos, and 10,000 Sri Ishopanishads. Can you distribute that Ishopanishad? Prabhupada asked. Harikesha assured him that they could definitely distribute the books in Yugoslavia. Then print more, said Prabhupada. They continued discussing book production. Books were indeed Srila Prabhupada's life and soul. From Harikesha's entering with new books, Prabhupada had felt a profound ecstasy that had spread to Harikesha and to all the devotees present. Everyone was keenly aware that what they were experiencing was transcendental, a special reciprocation with Srila Prabhupada, and as long as they were sincere, it would not die. Now you just have to become better, said Harikesha, more healthy. Healthy? Said Srila Prabhupada. I have nothing to do with this body. During one of the long Kirtan vigils, Brahmananda Swami was present and Srila Prabhupada called him forward. He wanted to give him last instructions about Africa. Prabhupada was lying down and Brahmananda had to put his ear near Srila Prabhupada's mouth to hear. The other devotees in the room also hushed and came as close as possible. With Nava Yogendra, Prabhupada said in a hoarse whisper, the both of you, South Africa also, they're gradually the people are taking. Try to bring Pushta Krishna back. He is very competent. So jointly organize Africa, have Sankirtana. All Europeans, Americans, Africans. Tulasi Dasa is very competent also. United Nations under Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's flag. It is possible. Otherwise, the United Nations will be simply false attempt. You said that when you first came to New York, replied Brahmananda, urgently recalling his first days with Srila Prabhupada. You went to the United Nations. The very first day I came to the Kirtana there in New York. The next day you went for that peace vigil outside the United Nations and you were chanting Hare Krishna and saying that this Krishna consciousness is the only method for making United Nations. That is a fact, said Srila Prabhupada. Try for the protection of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and things will be successful. Others, they will simply waste time and be disappointed and change the body and suffer. Prabhupada changed the subject, but Brahmananda was satisfied. He had been given enough service for many lifetimes. Kuladri came into the room on behalf of Kirtananda Swami with gifts for Srila Prabhupada, an $8,000 check, a sapphire ring, a gold medallion studded with sapphires and rubies. So why don't you find out some bride? Srila Prabhupada remarked, and the devotee's sudden laughter broke the room's solemn mood, accepting the ring on his finger. Srila Prabhupada said, someone should take care of the other valuables. Kuladri said he had also one request to make on behalf of Kirtananda Swami. Kirtananda Maharaj said that you have asked us to pray to Krishna before, but he says he doesn't feel qualified to pray to Krishna. So he's asking that you please pray to Krishna for us, because we cannot pray to Krishna directly. We don't know Krishna. But if you ask, Krishna must be sure to fulfill your desire. So would you please pray to Krishna to stay with us? We want you to come to the palace that we are building in New Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada, if it's possible. I wish, said Srila Prabhupada, but unless I become a little strong, how can I go? We have also brought some sweets and ice cream, said Kuladri. He knew that Prabhupada could not take it, but he asked if he could just at least take a little taste. Prabhupada agreed, and a small piece of the ice cream was put on his tongue. First class, he said. Later Kirtananda arrived and Prabhupada asked for a report on New Vrindavan. Everything is going very nicely, Prabhupada, said Kirtananda. Your palace is almost finished. Already many people are coming every day to see it. It'll be finished in a couple of months. The other day, a lady went in and she turned to one of her boys and said, I cannot tell you what I am feeling. It is so wonderful. Yes, said Prabhupada. It is wonderful in that quarter. He paused, reflecting. Let us see which palace I am going to. Srila Prabhupada asked Kirtananda to take back his valuable gifts and to use them for New Vrindavan. You require money, said Srila Prabhupada, so you take back and utilize it there. That is my request. Thank you very much, said Kirtananda. Most of all, we want you, though. Yes, I also, said Srila Prabhupada, and if I survive, I have a strong desire to go where you are and live there. It will be a great pleasure. Kirtananda had pictures of the palace and Prabhupada sat up to see them. You are fulfilling my dream, he said. New Vrindavan, I dreamt all these things. Wonderful things he has done. He is the first student from the very beginning. When I was in storefront, he was bringing carpets, bench, some gong, some lamps. In Vrindavana, Giriraj had seen Prabhupada a number of times, mostly on business. He also regularly took his turn in the kirtan vigils in Prabhupada's room. But one day, wanting to take full advantage of Vrindavan, he went to visit some of the temples. At the end of the day, he took rest for the night on the roof of Gurukula building. But in the middle of the night, he was awakened by a devotee saying that Prabhupada wanted to see him. He ran down immediately, aware that Prabhupada might pass away at any moment. Anything Prabhupada might say could be his last words. He came into Prabhupada's room, offered obeisances, and got up very close beside the bed. Do you think this movement can go on without me? Prabhupada asked. Giriraj was astounded that Prabhupada had called him in the middle of the night to ask him this. I think, said Giriraj, that as long as we are sincere and go on chanting Hare Krishna and follow the principles, the movement will be successful. Srila Prabhupada was silent. When he spoke, each word seemed to come with great effort. He uttered the words organization. Then he said, organization and intelligence. Is there anything else? Giriraj felt within his heart that he wanted to cry out, Srila Prabhupada, stay with us. But instead, he said no. All right, Prabhupada said. And Giriraj offered obeisances and left. Outside Prabhupada's room, Giriraj continued to reflect on Prabhupada's word, organization and intelligence. Prabhupada seemed to be demanding much more love and commitment. Not that ISKCON could survive on organization and intelligence alone. Giriraj was thinking that perhaps these might be the last words Prabhupada would ever speak to him. I think we can stop here. Would anybody like to reflect anything that comes to their mind on the reading today?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yeah, I was thinking a few things that were coming was, of course, this part that we are ending with, organization, intelligence, and tying back to what Prabhupada was saying at the beginning about the seemingly simple aspect of making sure that the bell is ringing in the temple, right? And it's such a simple thing if you look at it as an outsider, but if you really see Prabhupada's mood, everything should be perfect, right? Like each and everything that he did was perfect in itself. Like when Harikesh Maharaj brought the book, he said first class, the printing and the book was first class, right? And they put the ice cream on Prabhupada's tongue, he said, first class, So it may seem very simple and trivial, but yeah, organization and intelligence goes to, I'm grateful. Yesterday I was messaged Vishwanath Prabhu on his birthday, like how meticulous he is, like when Prabhupada wants the bell to ring at hour and at every half an hour, and Vishwanath Prabhu never misses on the time. That actually, you can set the time, like I said in the past. You can set the time looking at his message. But he'll do it every morning at 4:30 sharp. Sometimes 4:29 he'll send the message out for Japa call. So externally it may seem very trivial, but we see Prabhupada's mood there. Like he wanted everything to be first class because we are serving the first and only personality of Godhead. So everything should be first class. So it's so nice. We just have to follow. If we follow, and I don't know what Giriraj Maharaj may have thought about this organization of intelligence, but of course, when we everything comes, like the perfection comes from purity. Purity comes from uncompromising sadhana, and when we do all of that, then everything else falls in place. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. Maharaj has mentioned this in many, many lectures of his, that organization and intelligence is what were the last instructions that Srila Prabhupada had for him. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else would like to share any thoughts that come to their mind? If not, we can end with Vaishnava Pranam Mantra. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prabhupada Leelamrit ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Have a great day,
Thank
everyone.
you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.